Give us a sense of what we're going to hear. I know you don't want to step on the president's announcement, but what should we expect?
Thanks so much for having me. What you should expect from the president is what we've come to expect from the president, and that is to lean in to the opportunity that is presented by this future of the automobile industry, this future that is electric. If we invest in our companies, in our manufacturing capacity, in our auto workers, across the full supply chain, from parts to final assembly, we can create good-paying jobs, we can reduce emissions, and we can reestablish the United States as the leader on electric vehicles. That's what the president's going to talk about today at the White House.
So let me ask you one question. How much of this is already getting done? We saw a joint statement from the three largest U.S. automakers embracing this. They said 40 to 50%. They didn't say 50%, but they said basically they're on a track to do this. I talked to Mary Barra of GM, who I believe is going to be with the president today for the announcement, just earlier this week, and they're investing $30 billion. How much of this is new? How much of it is summarizing what the automakers are already in the process of doing?
Look, ever since the president got elected, we've seen gradual movement across the industry in this direction. And that, frankly, it builds on investments that were put in place during the Recovery Act in 2009, 2010. Battery prices since then have come down 85%. We've gone from almost no electric vehicle models being offered to over 40 being offered last year. So there's been technology shift, there's been market readiness. And the auto sector has been moving over the last 6 months. We've seen significant announcements and moves forward. We're really excited about that. And the real question is, are we going to catalyze further progress? Are we going to accelerate towards where we are going? And we're going to do it in the right way. Are we going to invest in our workers, invest in our capability to build those supply chains from beginning to end here in the United States? Build the cars that are going to run on our roads, but also ship them all around the world? That's the real question. That's what the president's leadership has been focused on. And I think it's a testament to his leadership that you've got the auto industry and the auto workers, folks across the spectrum lining up and leaning in to this opportunity.
So, Mr. Zaidi, I'm from Michigan. I'll disclose that. So when I think of the auto industry, I tend to think about General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, which now has a new parent company. But to what extent do we need the help of non-U.S. based automakers? I mean, a lot of cars are bought in the United States that are manufactured by non-U.S. automakers, and many of them are manufactured here. Are we going to have those representatives with the White House as well?
You know, what we've heard from across the auto industry is this ambition to achieve up to 50% electric vehicles in 2030. Today's event will showcase largely the automakers you talked about, and front and center will be the workers who have built the middle class, the workers who have built the competitiveness into the American auto industry. They're our secret weapon in winning this global race, and they're going to be front and center with the President of the United States as we plot out how we win this race by investing in them, by investing in our industry. And look, we're excited about private capital flowing into this country, private capital flowing in to create jobs and opportunity all across the country. That's a good thing, and we need to lean into making more of that possible.
But are some of the non-U.S. companies going to be there or not?
The event will feature the three companies that you listed.
Okay, so it's probably a tribute to what you're accomplishing, the president and you are accomplishing, that other people wish they were invited who didn't get invited. But one of them is named Elon Musk, who's had a little something to do with electric vehicles in this country. There was a tweet this morning I saw. Why isn't Elon Musk there?
Look, we are really excited about getting the UAW together with three of their largest employers here on our campus. We are excited about the incredible progress that the auto industry has been able to make. The story of Tesla from day one has been intertwined with the innovation story that we've seen play out over the last 2 decades here in the United States. There was a Department of Energy loan decade and a half ago that helped build out that facility. Those are technologies that have been pioneered here in the United States and now getting used by companies here in the United States to help grow jobs here in the United States. That's what this is all about, is helping grow our economy, helping meet the climate crisis head on.
So, Mr. Zaidi, the bully pulpit is terribly important to the president. It's very effective. We've seen it with a lot of presidents used to good effect. But what beyond that can the government, should the government do to make sure that this goal is met? And let me talk about a couple of things, specifically charging stations. We need charging stations for electric vehicles. Does the government need to have a substantial role in that, or can that be left to the private industry?
Yeah, look, the private industry is going to drive remarkable amounts of deployment into electric vehicle charging, but the federal government has to catalyze some of that, and we have to come in and support some of the build out that's going to be necessary to create that national network. As you know, if left to just how the market would play out on its own, we would end up having a potentially disconnected network, concentrated opportunities in some places, and a lack of charging opportunities in places like rural communities like the one I grew up in. So what we've got to do is help catalyze that investment, and the president's bipartisan infrastructure deal does exactly that. It will help build the first ever national electric vehicle charging network. It's going to be built by union workers around the country. That's going to help connect the dots between where the private investment has already taken place, and it's actually going to accelerate more private investment flowing into this arena. We've got to do both. We've got to accelerate the pace that we are on to seize this opportunity that we have right in front of us.
Finally, in success, getting 50% of the cars sold in the United States to be electric is going to be a lot of cars, and that's going to raise questions about supply of things like lithium, a lot of the elements that go into making the batteries. Are we convinced that we have that supply chain in place, or does the government need to help make sure that we have that by 2030?
Supply chain is absolutely critical, and we can't think small. We've got to think big. The president has been very clear. He wants to win the entire finish line on this one. And that's why part of the bipartisan infrastructure deal actually leans into this challenge with solutions. $6 billion of investment into the battery supply chain, resources for the agencies that are going to be involved in supporting the permitting of sustainable resource development. And an effort to build out recycling capacity, which is going to be critical to providing the lithium that we need.